I was just like baffled. So
yeah, because you gotta have like the top flight shelf shit that costs like $50 a gram, you know, because of my stomach. I'm like, bro,
what? Yeah,
like, what are you talking about?
Then you shouldn't be smoking at all.
Hey, check this out. So DJ Paul was saying that they're probably gonna have a 3-6 Mafia like reunion tour.
How?
I don't know. They're gonna go on a tour, bro.
Did DJ one of them die?
Huh? DJ Paul didn't die.
No, one of them did though.
Yeah, that was what's his name? Freaking Lord Infamous, and that was days ago, bro.
So how are they gonna bring him out from the grave or what?
They don't need dude. They were dropping shit when Lord Infamous passed away. He'd passed away in like 2004.
DJ Paul and Juicy J then?
It'd be probably DJ Paul, Juicy J, and like I'm sure they would go get like Project Pat, freaking Gangsta Boo, like all of them.
Well, do we have I'm recording right now, but I don't know. I thought we'd
what
like. When do you want to start the podcast? Like right now, and then we'll talk about all that.
Yeah, we can start. We can put all this shit we were talking about right now in there.
For sure. All right,
yeah,
so
it's kind of like recording right now, all that.
For sure. Welcome to the Affordable Hustlers.
Yes, the Affordable Hustlers podcast. When we drop the truth and the knowledge.
Yep.
Know what I mean?
No censorship. No censorship.
And hey, seriously, the most important part is no like industry connections. Which it's like a double-edged sword. It's like a double-edged sword. We don't know as much as what's going on as like a lot of people. We just go by our common sense and our opinions. But we don't have anybody. We don't have any bias. Nobody's putting money in our pocket. We don't have any of that. We have no bias. Well, that's pretty cool. I like that. We can talk that shit.
Hell yeah.
We're self-funded. Series Flip General.
Know what I'm saying?
Did you send me something in French?
Lucien
Dumont. Okay, let me check it out.
Lucien Dumont.
Get the fuck out of here, man. This guy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. This guy. But yeah, I guess they were talking. Okay, so bullshit to go see. But 3-6 Mafia performance at the One Music Festival on Saturday, September 7th, was the first time all living members took stage together in almost 2 decades. Paul, Gangsta Boo, and Crunchy Black. Dude, should have scrolled down out of nowhere. Crunchy Black previously did shows with the late with the late Lord Infamous and Coops the Nicka as the Mafia 6, but Juicy J wasn't involved in that version of the group because they split and they did different things. But yeah, I guess they're rumoring reunion tour. That'd be pretty cool.
That would be sick.
That'd be sick. Hey, I was a big 3-6 Mafia fan, and it was here. Hey, I have a question for you. Where did that like triplet flow come from? Did it come from 3-6 Mafia, or did it come from Bone Thugs and Harmony? Because they both came out around the same time.
I thought Bone Thugs came out way earlier.
No, they were 3-6 Mafia. Like they came out about the same time, about 92, 93. They came out a long time ago, and that was roughly around when Bone Thugs came out.
Sorry, gentlemen and ladies, listeners. Yeah, 1991.
91 Bone Thugs or
3-6 Mafia, and then Bone Thugs. I don't know. They signed in 2000 or in 1993. They're 1991 too, so they both came up at the same year.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy. Same year, like one over here in Cleveland, one in Memphis. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah. I like both. Mainly Lord Infamous because he was the one from 3-6 Mafia. He used that like triplet flow a lot. Okay, here's a good example. If you listen like Suicide Boys and them, like that's how Lord Infamous like rap.
Yeah, and that's why Juicy J is letting Suicide Boys do a lot of his production on his like comeback.
Yeah, because they have that. They're in touch with that kind of that old sound, you know.
Yeah,
it has like almost that same like vibe and feeling, even the content and like the shit they're talking about, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Suicide Boys did everything right in terms of marketing. Like they knew, okay, 3-6 Mafia was marketing more towards. You remember the Source Awards when they were really popular?
Yeah.
And that was when
so
hip hop was
ago.
more. It was way more underground and more like urban, and there weren't as many like white suburban middle aged like teenage and middle aged like people, you know, males who are like non-aggressive, you know, that were into it back in the day. Nowadays, hip hop is so popular; it's like the number one most popular music in the world, right? So it being so popular, you have many different types of. Before it was just like mostly like not your gangsters, but like more aggressive male, like, you know, dominated kind of industry. And then now it's like you'll even catch like the most like girly, non-aggressive chicks like listening to fucking shit like 3-6 Mafia or Juicy J.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Straight up.
Yeah, and so what I think Suicide Boys did that is really clever is they knew like, okay, we're doing good music because it was tried and true. 3-6 Mafia, they did good music, so they just took their recipe of the music and they're all right, we're gonna do the marketing different, and we're gonna market more towards, you know, it's pretty much marketed towards like chicks and like white dudes.
Yeah, definitely. Most of that. It's like a punk rock of the, you know,
it's new
2019.
It's new punk rock,
you know,
yeah.
It's like the new punk rock, but within hip hop.
Yeah, exactly.
Which that's who 3-6 Mafia. That's who groups like that were anyway. Especially 3-6 Mafia because they produced their own shit and they kept all their royalties and all that, and they were for the most part independent.
Yeah, underground for sure.
Yeah, for the most part, like they got to their millions like independent. So that's real, like, you know, underground shows, like giving out CDs out of their trunk on the corner, stuff like that. That's I like that kind of shit, dude. It's dope. Oh, dude,
would you consider them underrated or overrated?
Underrated, completely underrated, because they influenced basically the entire sound we hear today. Of all the rappers you hear, like I said, like Suicide Boys, like Poya, like who else can I think of? Like
Migos.
Like Migos, big time Migos. A lot of groups, you know, they took a lot of their inspiration from 3-6 Mafia, and I never really hear them get like shouted out. And they'll talk about, oh, the king of trap is like T.I. or Jeezy, but 3-6 Mafia was making trap like music all the way back in like 91, 92. That's over almost 30 years ago they were doing that, so they were way ahead of their time, and they don't get enough like I don't feel they get enough credit for what they do.
Excuse me, I agree with you completely. You know, there's a weird push in terms of, especially because, you know, hip hop and rap is mainstream now, makes it a really weird push. Like you'll be like shit that you would expect to be, you know, give credit where credit's due, doesn't typically get that, and then some shit's over commercialized for no reason, you know?
Right.
Did you hear Triple X Tentacion released a deluxe edition for his Question Mark album?
Posthumously.
Yeah, posthumously. Posthumously. But yeah, so that came out, and there's a track on it called Jaw on Drums, and it's just like, you know, like all respect to the dead, but it's like somebody with not more than a couple weeks practice on the drums, playing drums, recorded in a jam session. It'd be like, you know, it's just very hard to hear, you know, like, and be like, oh yeah, he definitely, you know, was about this. Like, no, they're just milking him. You know,
definitely. Like they took
commercialized push.
They took something that he recorded because they know he passed away, you know. So of course people are gonna check out whatever they put out that has his name on it. So they probably went back and like his hard drives or something and found, oh, he recorded him playing drums. We're gonna put this and make this like a song, you know. Oh, he made some deep song about it, but in reality, he was just like fucking around. The drums recorded it, and it's just in the back of his hard drive somewhere. I don't. It's disgusting.
You know, as an artist, you know that there's like you have fleshed out thoughts and you have lots of them, and you don't release everything you record. They're going through they're going through his vulnerable files, you know, and just releasing that shit, and that's fucked up.
Yeah, just to make like money, but we all know that because it's the music industry, bro. Like, that's the only thing they care about is making a buck, and they got as much as they could off of his streams. You know, I don't know if his streams are still going up or holding steady from when he passed away or not, but you know, they're just trying to milk the last little bit they can out of him because you know he didn't put out a lot of work, you know, because he wasn't like a major artist like to.
And he was young.
Yeah, he was very young. He didn't put out enough music. You know, he didn't have enough time to. So there's only so far what he put out can keep making a certain amount of money.
Yeah, they really got to milk it. And I bet you there's some sort of contract stipulation that's like, if he doesn't fulfill his 7 albums or something, even posthumously, then they'll take all the money back from his mom or something, probably, you know?
No shit. I would like to see all that, like, kind of shit. Because I always wondered that, like, what happens when the artist, like, passes away?
Well, it's most of the money is advancing, you know? Advances.
Right, but who pays back all those advances?
Yeah, nobody has to. Usually, so, like, you're not financially responsible for, like, if your parents pass away and they have a lot of debt, right? Or if you passed away and you had a lot of debt, your parents wouldn't be responsible unless they sign something or say, you know, verbal agreement or like recorded or something that they are responsible, unless they take on the responsibility. So, but at the same time, it's like, you know, with all that advancement and all that money, I don't know if there was some sort of agreement that said, hey, if you die, we're taking that back, or, you know, because he still had the money and he died, and usually all of your shit goes to, you know, whoever is in your, either your will, or like, if it's not in your will, then it'd be like your parents or, you know, your kids or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't really, who is inheriting his money, or probably the same people that are pushing for all of these album sales. I'm sure that there's something there. And like, you know, if I died and like if I made it and then I died right after that and I had hella money, I would want the same thing. You know, I'd be like, yeah, go through all my files if that meant that you get to keep all my money, you know?
I'd be like, don't touch my fucking files. Nah. Check this out. So I was just going through the Reddit hip-hop section, and it's a great question, bro. Like, usually they say like kind of stupid shit sometimes when I go on here, but this is a really good question. It says, the most underappreciated person in hip-hop history. You know what I mean? Not just underrated, like he goes on to say. I'm not talking about just underrated. I'm talking about a person that has changed and like did hella shit for hip-hop, but is underappreciated. No one really talks about.
Oh, that'd have to be me for sure.
Oh, yeah, I would have to say 101, bro. No, but you know what I mean?
Definitely.
That's a great fucking question, though. Underappreciated. You know what?
Well,
not just underrated, not underappreciated.
Well, hip hop is a vile fucking genre. It doesn't, you know, there's a lot that it perpetuates, especially in the mainstream, that is not shit that I agree with ethically or morally. So I can't. To me, it's like whoever somebody says like, "Oh, you've done a lot for hip hop," I'll be like, "Well, there's, you know, I could call out a lot of shit that you've probably perpetuated that is like, you know, this bad for hip hop, right? Like keeping people down."
Well, I mean, yeah, like the question is like underappreciated, like, you know what I mean? Someone who's done like shit, a lot of shit, but no one really talks about.
Well, that if you would have asked me last year, that question would have been Nipsey Hussle, but now that he died, everyone is like all over him, like in terms of, you know, what he did for his community. Like it's blown up because he was doing that before he died, and then he didn't get no publicity for it, and then after he died, then everyone, you know, you hear every other week like, oh yeah, Nipsey really did a lot for his community.
And he, like you said, like he was doing that for like his career was active for over 10 years, bro. So he was doing all the same things, contributing back to his neighborhood.
It's not like he started doing that when he died.
Yeah, he was on. That was his like whole like mission. That's what he was doing. He was doing it for real. And you know, no one really paid him that much attention. You know, his first album that they really paid attention to was a Victory Lap. That came out in the top of 2018, the very beginning of 2018. I'm trying to think, around the top of 2018 that came out. And that was his first kind of major look, besides when Fly Crippin' came out. But that was a really big, like, look. And it was the first one, first major look he got from, like, the industry. And he did that independently, which is really dope.
I think I think there's a misconception with, you know, once you get signed and once you make it, that you're giving back to your community, or that because you know, when you say underappreciated, it's like I can't think of anybody who's really doing shit for their community who's blown up. Like on a local level, I'm sure there's a lot, because you got to make that choice, right? Are you going to stay and help your community, or are you going to continue pressing? And, you know, because it's a dog eat dog world, and there's a lot of competition in these types of sports, you know. So you're not gonna make it to the top by